All right, welcome to the Pod of Ages Season 3, Episode 4, World Semifinals Recap.
Quarterfinals recap.
Quarterfinals recap. My mistake. Sorry,
Mhm.
I was still recovering from that LNG game. Like, fucking talking about mistakes made.
Oof. Painful.
It
So
was
painful.
a painful one, but before we get into that, besides the games this week, Tim, how are you doing?
Oh, not doing too bad. We're holding on to fort. It's a beautiful week here in Denver, at least until the cold moves back in. We had some snow last weekend, so it's nice to have a nice sunny week again.
It's warmed up
How
here in
are you?
Albuquerque a little bit. Was having the windows open when it was like 28 degrees. It was beautiful.
How's
Um,
your back?
Back is better this week. So I sleep weird, and I'm like forcing myself to just sleep strictly on my side. Um, but the back's doing better. Thanks for asking. And I almost forgot introductions. This is Paradox Pope. I am Doomfunk. We are your hosts for the Pot of Ages, the best League of Legends podcast done by people who have never hit Masters.
Mm-hmm. True.
True facts. Um, so let's
Maybe that's a
start.
season 4 thing, though. We'll see. We'll see.
Yes, season 4. Keep a lookout if you're new to the podcast. Like, follow, subscribe. We are on YouTube and Spotify now. Um, Next season we will be following a duo queue climb. Um, I've been playing a lot of jungle recently just to try and learn the role and get more of what the mindset's like. And I tell you what, as fucked as that fucking position is, it is some of the most fun I've had in League of Legends.
Get to be creative, which is always nice, and use your brain, which is the most fun part about the game, in my opinion. So it can be engaging if you actually try to.
But next season we're gonna do a bot lane climb.
Mm-hmm.
So don't worry, I'll be warming my ADC back up. I still got my A click down. Like,
Well, if we polish off enough rust, we can have a random top jungle duo as well whenever we're feeling a little froggy.
yeah, I actually just carried a game today. I'm Belveth. Things are starting to click.
Getting there.
Outscaled a Viego.
Oh yeah, nice.
And then was starting to 1v5. So it felt good. Team wasn't horrible, but we did have a horrible early game. But we're not here to talk about solo queue. We're here to talk about worlds. And
The eternal LCK versus LPL grudge match.
yeah. And for you at home, we're going to do shortest match to longest match so we can get the trash out of the way and get
Speaking
into
of
the
trash,
juice.
let's talk about Tarzan.
Dude. So LNG
Oh,
T1 won 3-0 in
quickly.
quick games. They were not close games. Tarzan and Scout left their hands in Seoul on the train to Busan. They forgot to pack them. Their brains apparently are gone too.
I think old T1 Scout just made his resurgence. You know what I'm saying? Back in the days, to just Faker looks at him and says, "After all this time, just after all this time."
Right. Scout used to play on their
Blows
challenger team,
flag.
right?
Yeah, he used to be like the second hand. He only played a handful of games, literally like a handful of games for T1. And generally speaking, he didn't look good at the time, but it was kind of different era for T1. And of
Maybe
course, he
Scout
was
just can't play in
very
Korea.
rookie. Dude, who knows? I don't know. Maybe he like. It's hard to sit there and say that he has any like choke issues because he won worlds on EDG. He played phenomenal in that run,
He fucking choked
but
this game though.
holy dude, he has a 0-5 record against Faker. He was in the group with him last year, I believe. And like again, LPL teams were pretty sick at Worlds 2022, so I really don't take much of that tournament with like seriously, just because of DRX won. And despite the storyline being good, they were literally the fourth seed from LCK, and they didn't look good all year. So it's not necessarily the outcome you want. But yeah, now it just looks like Scout can't play against Faker, And Tarzan, dude. Tarzan has his problems, but holy shit, was it a new level today?
Dude, so like I said, I just started jungling just to learn the role. I swear I could have fucking played that game better.
I mean, the most important thing to say is you probably couldn't have played it worse, which is still quite the insult to be made against pro players, right? Like,
So,
I kind of felt like before the tournament, people would say that LNG was the most LCK LPL team, and it really showed today how passive they just laid down and died.
dude, I would say they were actively throwing the game. So, what was it?
In the
At
mid jungle,
10
yeah.
minutes, Rift Herald gets dropped mid. Is it even a Rift Herald? I can't remember if it's Rift Herald, but there's a fight mid, and Scout ease forward with Azir. I think there
Yeah.
was a Rift Herald, and ults Faker away from his tower instead of under it, and then 10 seconds later, after Scout had died, Tarzan follows up with, I think, a flash EQ ult into a 2v1.
Yeah, something like that.
When he's okay, I get it. If you were fucking feeling yourself, you're ahead, you're 3-0 and 5 camps up. Maybe you can take this 2v1 against people that were half health, but they're basically full fucking health. It was bad.
Yeah, no, it was bad. Like ultimately, I really like the games themselves. I almost don't even want to talk about too much, just because I feel like SK or T1 just literally they just broke them in every sense of the word. Like Gala tried to put up a fight, and like I
Gala
know
tried
Han
so hard.
he
It
did,
felt so bad watching him just
and
try so
Han
hard.
couldn't do anything. Like the drafting that T1 showed around bot lane, like the game one to show the Nile or the Senna on 3 and then lock in the Nyla on 4 after the Blitzcrank. Like,
Four five, 4-5.
yeah, but the third pick phase for
Yeah.
red side, and it just that's masterful drafting, and to show like the dynamicism of the T1 bot lane of like how they used to be, which is great because like they haven't had this form since through summer, so it's great to see them return to it. And in the
So
second game, they did the Ash Varus into the Rakan to completely shut down the engage with the double range. And like I feel like Hong could never play the game. Gala thus was never in the game. And then Tarzan and Scout literally just ran the series down. It was just beautiful drafting by T1 though in games 1 and 2. I think 3 didn't matter, but 1 and 2 was money.
yeah, I agree. I think great drafting by T1. And then in game 3 it was very just standard, like Renata got left open, so T1's like, yeah, we'll take
Curious, like
that.
don't
And then
mind
they
me.
paired it with the Varus. Um, I don't think I think it's gonna be really interesting. The next match, the JDG T1 match. I think the drafts are going to be very important because I feel like there's going to want to be bans bot lane, just because there are some power picks there. But I don't think you can ban out Carrier, or I mean Aguma or Ruler, as far
You can't
as
ban out any of them, yeah.
yeah, you can't. So it's going to be very interesting to see
I
that.
could see, I could see Zaya and Callista catching bans in
Hmm.
first
Yeah, I
rotations.
agree.
I would expect T1 honestly to maybe just ban Rakan against JDG through a significant portion of the series, if not the entire series, just because Missing put on a fucking clinic in the series against KT with it. So we'll see what they're. I know generally speaking, Rakan isn't really favored or prioritized if Zaya is banned out because it's more the duo that people are scared of. But we'll see how that progresses. You can't give Ruler Zaya either is a problem with it because it's not just a matter of it's both sides. So, like you can't give Missing Rakan, you can't give Ruler Zaya, and so how are you just gonna ban both of them or let one through? It's dangerous. But we'll have to get to that when we talk about that, just because I imagine the JDG versus T1 sidetrack conversation could take the entire podcast if we let it.
It,
So
it, it could. Um, I almost feel like we could later this week before the games do just a whole episode on that.
almost.
If you want, like, I mean, I'm always down to do random follow-ups when there's something like this happening at Worlds where basically the finals is going to be in the semifinals.
Mm-hmm.
But so LNG fucking threw hard. T1 played good. It's hard to say how good because of how hard LNG threw.
Yeah, they definitely played super well. It's great to see a LCK team like really show up in a big way at this event. I was also about to be worried if maybe LCK was about to bomb out pretty hard at this event while it's in Korea, and that would have been a pretty bad look. I'm a huge LPL fan, and I do think the league is better, but I want them to be competitive because I want the games to be good. You know, like ultimately, I want to enjoy
I want good
great
League of
series.
Legends.
Yeah. So you gotta have a good opponent to have a good League of Legends. So I don't really want the LPL to be just peerless. But for a while, once GenG fell to BLG, like it might have been for a second, like, oh, they might be. Like straight up. Like T1 didn't
T1
look like
has been doing a
soldiers, but
good job of leveling up throughout this tournament.
huge.
Like how
They
we
look
were talking
great.
about NRG and how we'll talk about NRG Weibo in a second here. Like NRG showed that they were leveling up throughout the tournament. They're taking their lessons. They're learning what the meta is and what works for them and what can be picked. I think there are some strong picks, but I think T1 showing that at least bot meta can be whatever your players are
Oh
good
yeah.
at playing.
Yeah, I agree. I think
Whatever
that's
fits your comp and whatever they can play, which I really like to see. I hate to see meta
yeah.
slaves, and it was really refreshing to see that Ashe pick alongside the Varus just to be like, yep, we have a winning bot lane now.
Dude, yeah, like the Nyla pivot with the Senna, like it was
That was
that
beautiful,
was
beautiful.
so when that came through, I
I
was just like,
called it, and I've been
oh
waiting
my
for it all
god.
tournament long.
But with the Tom Kench dangling, I just that was so good. I was like,
um,
I'm happy to see it. Like T1, I wanted T1 to win World's Finals last year. I'm still amazed they didn't. And I will say, if the same roster that couldn't beat DRX in the finals last year, this year denies JDG the Golden Road, I am going to be livid, livid, because I am still so angry that
but
DRX
also,
won the Worlds
if they
last
beat
year.
JDG and lose
They deserve
to
it. Yeah, if they lose to BLG, that will be like,
if they lose to Weibo,
no, it'll be BLG because that'll make it better because JDG because BLG never beats JDG, and that would make the perfect end cap to BLG's year and story. The only time they don't have to beat JDG is the time it's the fucking Worlds, and that's the only thing they win because they don't have to play JDG.
the script
You know,
you guys
it
heard
would
it.
be
The
hysterical.
script is written, but
And then Forrest, like the fact that there was a bet on SKT making it to finals and losing at the beginning of the tournament, it was only 10-1, only 10-1 to have such a specific, outcome. That being the thing again would just be so perfect if SKT lost like the seventh final in a row because they've lost in finals of so many tournaments over the last like 3 years.
we'll see.
And
They
the
got to get there
side,
first.
actually, they make them this year, but last. I don't know. I'm glad to see T1 catch form, though. Honestly, even as a LCK hater, I'm glad that Faker can still be Faker. I think it's good for the sport.
It was a good showing. It was a good game. If LNG didn't throw so hard, what could have been if they played to at all near their skill level?
Yeah,
But
it would just make a
it
good
didn't
series.
happen, so no point in with the what ifs. Um, the next shortest game, and was way more competitive, at least for the first two games, was NRG and Weibo.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I took a ton of notes. I don't want to talk about every little detail of the games, but let's start with game one. What'd you
Game
think
one,
of the drafts?
I don't like the Viego on energy, but everything else I think is fine. The
I
Viego
think
pick
I
there.
think it was a little early in the phasing for Senatom. Me personally, I like to leave that as round out your draft, secure this. You're good to go. This way you can like pull some other bot lane bans potentially.
Well, just really,
And
they
instead,
had a. I'm sorry, pardon me.
I was gonna say, and instead, like they got Vi and Jax banned against them. They banned the Gnar. Rumble was already banned, so you know that Weibo's gonna pick Cassante on 4 since the Gnar is banned, the Jax banned. I do agree that the Viego pick could have been way better. I think a Wukong might have done pretty damn good there. Renekton into Cassante is just pretty mid. Like he holds lane and doesn't win the game sometimes. But
Yeah, I mean, they could have picked up Vi in the first rotation there if they wanted to have, and if they were willing to sacrifice the bot lane pickup. But because they showed the Senatom in the G2 series, maybe they were worried about it getting locked out. And I can understand that to a degree, but still, it just, yeah, it seemed a little odd. I really like the Orianna pickup early. You know, it's definitely strong, but I honestly feel like maybe Palafox is better on the Nico. He had a lot of great playmaking in the G2 series, and maybe they should have gone towards that instead. You're banning out the Azir, you know, in your rotations, and I feel like the Azir shuts down the Nico's ability to engage. I know Oriana's supposed to have a better lane, blah 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 blah. Like I just don't care, you know. I think in that game they would have had more success on comfort and things that they already showed a lot of success on. And Palafox was
I agree.
running the Nico well.
I think Nico in general right now is a definitely a better first pick than Oriana. I think it plays better in isolation.
I think it can depend on the mid laner in question, but a lot of times, yeah, the Nico is really powerful if you are somebody who can be creative enough with it.
Well, it also doesn't require you to place the ball or have a holder of the ball to get a good ult off. You can just yourself get a good ult off.
Yeah, and it's a bigger circle.
Um,
Other than that, I just feel like ultimately, like NRG in this series just felt to me they were running out of steam. A lot of the times, you know, they were just not quite like Contracts was not showing up to the level he played the G2 series.
To also
And
be
that's
fair,
fine.
Weibo's vision game 1 was insane. They were tracking Contracts all over the map to where he really couldn't do too much. It was constantly support was dropping out of lane, jungle was pushing forward, mid was rounding about, top was rounding about, all to get deep vision and make sure that they were tracking Contracts. So they paid their respect and they got the vision, which did it. I think where NRG really messed up was when they took Baron. They didn't do shit with it. They kind of four-manned mid tier 2 tower when you have like you could have like Renekton TP was up. I think Orianna TP. I think both TPs were up, or one was TP was up, and they could have gone for those bot tier 2s, which are worth more gold, and gotten a bit more out of the Baron, but they didn't get anything off the Baron besides a mid tier 2.
Yeah. The biggest issue with game 1 though was just that FBI got completely outscaled. Like they did have a decent bit of tempo in the first half of the game, and they picked up the Baron, but after they picked up Baron, that was close to 25 minutes, right? Like at that point,
It was
Light hit 3 items, and he was 2 items ahead of FBI the entire game.
Yeah, so 25 minutes. I had NRG take 3 and push 5 off of Baron. Then they wasted time with Baron doing a dragon dance, which Weibo took. Which I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it so much when you're just dancing around an objective and you're not physically trying to, like, you're not gonna, if you're not gonna push them off of it, like make that decision and pull that trigger, then just back away. Just fucking concede it. Like, you have Baron, you don't need to be wasting time around Baron. Like, I think just their decision making after that Baron, where they could have started to kind of steamroll a bit,
they just really couldn't, I think, was the issue they faced, because they hit that point where, like, they would need to play for the Viego resets. And this is the problem I have with the pickup in the comp, because you're making your team fights pretty conditional. So your Orianna and your Senna have to be dealing pretty good damage, so that your Viego can get resets and you guys can win fights. And I think Palafox did his job, but like Yasena said, being the high range, high super scaling ADC, not actually scaling, was pretty hurtful, because they just couldn't quite clutch the kills after the Orianna ult. You know, they didn't have enough damage following it up. And that was definitely super detrimental. It was kind of weird how that happened too, because they had good tempo in the first 20 minutes too.
I mean, they had good tempo up until that dragon.
Yeah.
Like that dragon, they lost all of their tempo swing that they had with that Baron, where they could have been like, all right, you take dragon, we're gonna take your mid tier 2, your top tier 2, and pressure and inhib, and then fucking walk away with and take your fucking jungles, like, just
pick up the gold on the map and avoid the Aphelios, so you don't have to shovel gold in his mouth.
It just shows that, like, at this level of play, one misstep by like one bad decision by the team throws the whole rest of the game. Because after that, you have the Aphelios outscaled. Their team fighting was just better at that point, and then Weibo, like, a couple picks by Energy, doesn't matter. Weibo takes Baron. Weibo ends the game with that Baron.
Yep.
And then game 2 were the exact same picks and bans, exact same side selection. Energy on blue, Weibo on red, and then the same first 3 picks also. First pick Orianna by NRG, and then Aphelios Rel. But then NRG learned from their mistake and picked Vi Cassante.
Yep. Tried to neutralize the top matchup, since the Shy was starting to look pretty big. They took the Cassante away from him.
But then that Vi Cassante gets neutralized by the pick that they should have picked first again, the Nico.
Yeah. Now Zhao played this game pretty fucking well. Zhao and Wei were on top of it, and like, honestly, the Aphelios, man, the Aphelios pick looks metal whenever you have a good team playing around it, keeping it safe. I know it's definitely punishable. It's not a bulletproof ADC pick by any means, but whenever it's in the wrong hands, like in the right hands, in the wrong situation, like, oh my god, it looks unstoppable.
And then NRG bans the Viego. Which, so I'm seeing this thing with a lot of teams, because as I've been out of the scene for a year, so I'm kind of like refreshing myself on a lot of things. But when a team does in a best of series, they pick a champion, that player doesn't do what they want to on that champion, and then they ban it the next game. It's almost like the team saying, "No, you're not playing this." It's almost like a self ban.
And that's what happened in game 2 of LNG versus one today. Whenever banned Azir and took J4 away from Tarzan and Scout.
Like, Scout and Tarzan, you're not allowed to play this anymore. Just ban it. I see. Now, leaving the Son of Tom to the second phase, does what Weibo did. They have to ban the Senna, so it pulls a ban. So even if if you're determined to play it, I don't think that's a good idea. I think it's a very conditional pick. And I don't think Senna would have been good here anyway with Cassante topside. Like, I feel like you're just...
wouldn't have been enough damage.
Yeah, you start to lack damage, and I have that in a different game. But then they pick the Shy's Aatrox. And I think instead of Viego, they should have banned the Milio and forced them onto a Lulu if they wanted that support, that Enchanter support.
Yeah, it's weird that they left the Milio up, especially since they chose to go into the Alistar.
Well, they banned the
And
Viego and left Emilio open, so it's like a
yeah, that was such a strange choice there, given that Chris had a pretty great game on it before, and then the game this time it was even better. You know,
yeah.
because
And it's also
it's crazy on Aatrox.
it's really strong into Alistar.
Yeah, it's crazy on Alistar. It's good into Vi. You know, it's good into Cassante, honestly, a bit too, and it's crazy good with Aatrox. Like the Emilio pick in this comp especially was so turbo. I couldn't believe they left it up to ban the Viego last ban. You know, that is pretty wild to me. And then game three, I feel like you could tell
Well,
energy
before
was
game
off
three, let's
there.
talk about what lost game
Mantle was
two,
fine.
because there was that level one invade by Weibo, which I think just won the game from level one.
Yeah, it was pretty brutal. Weibo played this series pretty smart. You know, they played proactive in a good way, and their drafts were honestly solid. Like they're not like amazing. This isn't 300 IQ like the T1 LNG situation, but this stuff is really reliable for a team that has had a lot of question marks around it, which I think is good. You know, the Shy was himself. You could tell he was playing to have some fun, but he looked good because of the matchup, sure. But Weiwei's good jungler. Still looks good. I still have a lot of faith in Shabu, and then like Light and Crisp were looking like a proper all top tier bot lane. Something you need to be respect and be scared of.
Yeah, I mean the Shy looks scary on Aatrox,
That's his
and
jam,
he
man.
looked terrifying on Gnar.
Yeah.
Like like they were banning Gnar for the whole time. And NRG's pick ban in game three was just like, what in the fuck are you guys
Dude.
doing?
Yeah, like the fact that they did not
Like
pick up
J4 was left
J4.
open.
Yeah, and they picked Rumble R1 or B1. Like,
Yeah,
how are you not picking that up on B2 or 3?
like they're picking
For
like they're
real.
like
Ezreal
they got
Karma.
this mindset of like oh we like they picked their bot lane, we have to pick our bot lane. But I'm like, you didn't do that in game two, so why would you do that again?
Hmm.
Um,
And there's
and
not enough stuff banned out to be worried about at the first rotation, you know? Like, you're only going to catch 2 more AD bans, and there is no Callista ban yet. There's no Kaisa ban yet. You know, are you really that scared?
like the J4
Like,
would have been pretty all right into Caitlyn. She can E over the wall, but
I
like
just think it's so good with the Rumble. Why don't you want that, right? You know?
yeah.
Just straight by itself. And you know, there was no bans towards the Tom Kench Senna, and this is one of those lanes. This is one of the times that I could see that you might actually want it. You know, you could have saved that for the last rotation, and you probably would have drawn a Senna ban for one, and then what for the next ban would matter? Like, is there no ADCs after Senna that you can play into Galen? You could play Jinx Tom Kench like JDG does and scale to 2 items. There's a lot of options
Just
there. It just seems
just
like
fucking
they folded.
just fucking they picked Heimer support. Like of
Yeah,
course like which
like
was
NRG had some fight for the first 2 games, but by game 3 they didn't have any fight
they
left. I
were
don't think.
done.
Yeah, and the draft to me just shows it. It's that had the energy of RNG, T1, and MSI. Same shit. That's the proverbial Jin Yumi lock in.
So takeaways from that is NRG was competitive, but then just lost steam very quickly. Mental boon or
They definitely had the highs to play it, but they had to be on it. You know, they're
yeah.
clearly a confidence team. They had a little bit of confidence coming into the game, but they just did not scale out of game one like they needed to with the tempo they had, and they just lost confidence throughout the series, and it just showed.
Yep. Which is sad.
But good showing though for
Good
NA.
good showing for NA. Good showing for Palafox, Contracts, Dokla, FBI, Ignar. Much respect to all you guys.
Contracts and Palafox especially, you guys definitely like international performances, and that's great because we haven't seen NA players do that in a long time. You know,
Haven't gotten out of groups in how many years?
uh, Perks C9.
God, I don't even want to talk about Perks D9. Perks is fucking throwing, dude.
Any team would have gotten out of that groups once FPX literally imploded. Like they weren't even people anymore. They were just fighting each other behind. I don't know. I can't believe that. I still can't believe how bad that team was that year. It was unreal. But anyway, let's move on to series number 3, which was man. Game 2 was just I don't know if I think the funniest thing about this series to me is it's a 3-1 series. JDG did drop a game, and we think, oh man, this was a contest. This was a series at least. Only one of these games actually made it past 30 minutes, and that's 33 minutes.
That was the game KT won.
No.
No? That was game 2?
No. That was game 4. That was the last one.
That was game 4? Mm-hmm. Really? That one went... That one was that close.
I didn't
put the time on there.
Especially, I feel like JDG hit a point where they realized their comp was as messed up as it was, and they just ran the game down to the end. So they didn't tilt us as much by being locked in it. It's kind of how I felt about it. Yeah, because they just... I don't like... Zeri is a kind of hit and miss champion to me. I think she scales too slow now after all of the nerfs, so I didn't really like that in the first draft, but I just felt like they didn't have enough damage in the first game, especially after Bin wasn't, or 369, Bin, 369 didn't get any lead really.
Yeah, so JDG KT went to 4 games. KT won the first one. JDG won the next 3.
Mm-hmm.
I think KT drafted very well. BDD played his goddamn ass off, and so did aiming. Let's see here. So I think the
Lahen's looking a little sussy.
Yeah.
And then Cuz was literally just completely dismantled with Sejuani Viego bans. That's it. Once the Sejuani was taken away, he almost did nothing in the rest of the series. The bye game was at least his last best game. The last game he played was the other one he actually came out and did some shit in at least. But
yeah, he was not good on the rel.
No.
And KT picking Syndra in that last game really kind of threw me. And it didn't feel like it was going to do that much. I don't think it did like a couple things, but not that much. But let's talk about game 1. Where KT won. I think that this was a very great draft by KT. And I think JDG was also. I think they were both good drafts. I just was like, okay, that first draft though, like all of your marbles are in the Zeri bucket.
You get the Orianna too, at least, and like they have the setup, quote unquote, for it, but it's just with how they're interacting, they just can't fight. And it kind of showed pretty quickly how, like, when the team fights were breaking down, that they just really almost couldn't do anything because the game was even, for a point. They were going back and forth nicely, and then it just hit a point where they hit the items on KT, and they were just ahead. Like the Sejuani was unkillable.
Yeah, there was a big team fight at 20 minutes where aiming just went off on the Aphelios. I think that's the one where he flashed Gale Forced away, and then just fucking pumped DPS. They couldn't touch him. What really got me was, I think this was game 2. They repicked Aphelios. Yeah, he didn't build Gale Force again, and he got picked a couple times.
Yeah. I mean, I can understand if you definitely need to be safe in some of those matchups. Game 2, JDG just ran them. It felt like one of those games where KT could almost do nothing. Like they got the gank off, sure, on Knight with the flash stun from Viego, but it never felt like anything mattered. 369 is the ultimate weak side top. He really is. I love how and when he's willing to drop CS to trade or to leave the lanes when it matters. He doesn't care if he's not at 8 to 10 CS a minute. He'll go and teleport away for the important fight. He'll trade with the opposing top laner to set up the gank, even if he's losing 3 minions, just for the sake of it. And I think that's the priority on the team tempo is so good for this team, especially. But
Yeah, and
Ruler is just so
Knight
good.
played Nico extremely well. He had a few multi-person ult. He had a 4-man ult at Baron, which I think was that game-winning play, the gold they got off that Baron, and just the gold they got off that fight. Just sort of steamrolling them ahead.
I would say the drafts here in general weren't crazy. In game 3, I couldn't believe they left Wukong for Kanavi on the last rotation. The fact that KT is out here banning Zeri, like, why are you going to actually take Zeri away? Who cares?
Well, it's like all right. So you're gonna ban Zeri. Why? Because it's a safe hyper carry.
Yeah.
Is that why? Because Sivir has a spell shield, and Ruler is Ruler. He's gonna fucking use that spell shield when it matters. You're gonna have to pop it and follow up with it.
KC just did not put their foot down whenever they had JDG in any sort of position that was compromising. It was definitely the most telling in that last game.
Well, it was hard to when the picks that KT were getting, there's no objectives up.
Yeah.
You're getting you get a kill mid lane. There's no Drake. There's no Rift Herald. What do you?
I mean, you just gotta set up. Keep setting up for things. Make sure the timing's ready for it. You can't be wasting your ultimate in lane to trade whenever the objective is spawning in 40 seconds. How did this game snowball down for JDG? I was trying to remember what was the misplay early.
Gold was even at 16 minutes, and then
in game 4?
In game 3.
Yeah, no, game 3, the gold was even for a while, but JDG just had.
And then
you could tell they were running the plays.
And then Ruler got 2 items, and the game was over.
Mm-hmm.
Now game 4. KT was up 4K at 20 minutes. You said it was a 44-minute game?
No, 33.
33, and that was the longest game of this series.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Trying to remember.
I'm just skipping through it. The game is honestly pretty even. Looks like they might flub this fight. Not really. They have a bunch of they get caught in some dumb spots over and over again and give a few kills. And that's how they get the 4K gold deficit.
I mean, yeah,
point where
they can get caught, but
really messed up too bad.
It's like,
but yet they waste their opportunity between basically 18 minutes, basically 20 minutes to 23 minutes. KT should have been posture heavier for the Dragon or the Baron.
Well, there was there was a fight at 24 minutes where
that was the mistake.
Where I think Ruler and Knight had just hit 2 items and just annihilate that entire fight.
Yeah, no. Knight catches a crazy shockwave over the wall. I don't know what BDD was doing. He honestly insta the game away at that point. He just stands in his position that's very easy to punish him. He and Lehens get caught in a shockwave, and then Ruler kills 4 people.
Something I'm just now seeing
a lot of money.
Is that KT grabbed Lulu when Renata was open.
Mm-hmm.
And I
don't think Lehens plays Renata really. I don't think that's really a Lens champ, and that's the
That
reason why.
champ is dummy easy to play.
I mean, yeah, but in the competitive setting, right? It's I agree. It's really not much
Her
to,
floor
but
and her ceiling aren't that far apart. It's just knowing when to press, like knowing when to press the buttons, which you should just know when to press the buttons at this level anyway. Like if you know when to press the buttons on Lulu, you should know, like, okay, they're coming towards me. I'm gonna fucking handshake them.
yeah, for sure. I think we also need to talk about missing was on Rakan in every game this series, right?
Um, every game,
Every single game.
every single
And,
game.
and outside of obviously the first game where the team couldn't really do anything, he was crazy good. This is such a hard team to play against with just honestly the bot lane priority because you can't do anything to 369. You can never ban him.
No,
Like
I
yes,
mean, if you're gonna go, okay, we're just gonna play Jackson to you, he's done what I think has been the best pick into Jack so far, Gragas.
his Gragas
Just
game
neutralize the
was.
Jax instead of trying to actually fight him.
Mm-hmm.
And then you still have a fucking team fight ultimate, which is gonna force fucking Zaya R, or it's gonna force Syndra Flash. It's gonna force things, and you don't have to have an economy to fucking do that. You just have to exist. And
Yep.
I think Gragas and the Jax is great.
Mm-hmm.
Very smart.
And into the buy, honestly, too.
Yeah. You fucking like the body slams, the healing, just the innate tankiness he gets. I think he went. I don't fucking know mage items.
His KDA was up. Yeah, he
What's
went some
the
Everfrost and Zanya's
Everfrost?
just
Yeah.
for the utility shutdown, yeah. Well, let's get into the best of the quarterfinal series. Our 5-game banger of
The
BLG.
BLG versus Gen G,
GenG.
where BLG, it was a close series.
It was a good series.
BLG almost got reverse swept. BLG
But
won
then
3-2.
they decided, nah, son, not today.
Let me pull up those notes because we've been jumping around back and forth.
Ben pulled out the Rumble for like the first time ever in game 2 and played great and just all of a sudden turned the drafting on its side because that was the thing is that BLG was banning Rumble because it was good into a lot of Ben's champions.
So I think BLG's game 1 draft was crisp as fuck. Also considering that Gen G, I don't know what the fuck they were drafting, but they left up Renata Glask and Callista,
Yeah.
which is just the bot lane powerhouse. And they banned the Renekton first picking Jax, which my knowledge of this matchup is Renekton wins the first couple levels, then it gets kind of even, and then at one item, Jax just wins.
Probably not Ben Renekton versus Doran Jax, though. You know, more than likely that's going to go a little different. Because I'll say Doran Jax left a lot to be desired.
Doran left a lot to be desired, except for what was it, game
3.
Game 3, where he decided to be like, bam. But also BLG kind of threw that draft a little bit with the Caitlyn Braum on 4-5.
Yeah, another pretty weird pick.
When it's like you got this baller fucking 1-2-3 of Jarvan, Orianna, Renekton into Maokai, Aatrox, Yone, which I like BLG's a lot more than I like. I think Renekton into Aatrox is kind of meh, but with a Jarvan and an Orianna there too, I like it a lot more.
The fact that they gave Shun Jarvan every single game in this series when they're pulling stuff out like the Orianna and the Rumble and the solo lanes and really kind of pulling, throwing a kink in your plans. Why are they
the
still
prio back on Maokai? like that's not going to be there come semifinals. Like Maokai
Yeah,
didn't do much this entire
can't play enough
quarters.
things. I think the Vi, the J4, the Wukong, those feel like the good picks in the jungle right now to me. The Jarvan, you got to be able to execute. You can't be Tarzan Jarvan. But if you are Jun Jarvan, you got some angles here. This was a crazy series. In game one, the flash follow on this was BLG coming out and being like, you guys actually don't think we're top 3 in the world? All right, fine, we'll show you. And they fucking did it here. Gal had a good series. Honestly, everyone did.
Zun didn't die that game until he dove the fountain at the very end.
Yes, dude. And he didn't die the next game either. And he didn't die the game after that either. And he only died once in the last game and 3 times in the fourth. So Jun had 4 deaths that weren't fountain dives in a 5-game series against the best LCK team. That is wild. And I'm actually just glad that Elk and On showed up because that's what I was worried that they were just kind of not here for the tournament. But now they're here.
So you can't put on engaged champions.
It's not his bread and butter necessarily.
No, but that's also to what the games that BLG lost, he was on Tom Kench and Braum.
Mm-hmm. But they won the last Tom Kench game because they pulled up.
Was he on Tom Kench that last game too? It was Senna Tom.
Yeah, but you can play Jinx, take TK. I think the Jinx Tom Kench is a really good bot lane.
But they also 1-2-3 Rumble Jarvan Orianna.
Yeah, no, that's
into Narvi Akali, which to be fair, Chovy's Akali is something else.
They got Jarvan in almost every one of their first pick rotations.
They got Jarvan
because it went with at least
all 5 games.
Yeah, but it was always in the first rotations, and then they're getting Orianna or Rumble next to it.
He was open in the first game and in the second phase.
Honestly,
they didn't even first phase him because Renata and Kalista were left open, so it's like, okay.
The fact that BLG got Rumble, Jarvan, Orianna in 2 games this series is crazy. Like, what a commanding topside you're just giving away.
Yeah, and that's where I can see like the Senate Tom.
Like Doran had a good show in game 3, and honestly, the light was pretty great the entire series. I'm not gonna say anything about Pace. This is his rookie year. He's here at Worlds. He's doing great. He's doing the deeps. He's filling Ruler's shoes. But man, Chovy and Peanut, you guys really should be better than this. Like, everyone knows Doran is capped, so we're fine with him only putting in 1 good game. What about you guys? Like, Chovy is supposed to be one of the top 3 players in the world. And he did, game 4, ran that lane. He had a clinic.
He had a 30 CS lead at 14 minutes in that game 4.
Akali versus Orianna. That's wild. But the fact that they could not, and they won game 4, and he played that one fine, but still, games 1 through 3 was basically invisible. Game 5.
Oh yeah, so that's the one where BLG had so this is where, because I had a note somewhere where a team didn't have any damage. So in game 4, BLG, their 4-5 on blue side is Tom Kench and Ashe, with their other picks being Jarvan, Nico, Cassante, and then Tom Kench, Ashe. They have no damage. They have none. Like, Ashe, if they don't because they picked, sure, the Ashe is good into Kalista, but you're also going against a Rumble, a Vi, and a Kali. Like, who are you going to kill as that Ashe? Like, your front line, you can stay behind your front line, but they have a Vi and an Akali. Like, you're getting dove. Oh, the Tom Kent saved you for what, 3 seconds, and then you're dead.
That's a situation where you want a Jinx instead of the Ashe. I think next to a TK, if you're going to pick the TK to counter the Vi, because you just need the scaling damage. I know the lane sucks unless you're ruler and missing, but I think that bot lane still has legs if you want to make sure that you are mental at 2 items. I think Jinx still shows up.
Yeah, I mean, like, the Tom keeps the Jinx alive until she hits on 2 items, but even, like, then you have enough damage to at least, like, be behind your front line and do stuff. You can throw traps down. Like, you can, where Ashe is, like, if you, like, that's a weak side bot laner. If you're playing Ashe, that's weak side bot lane right there. So your carry's gonna be top side. Your carry's not Cassante. Nico is got great damage. She's got great CC. She's not gonna 1v5.
Nah, yeah, you definitely want like an Aatrox thing, but I'm pretty sure he was probably banned at that point.
He was not banned. Jax was banned.
Not in that game? Oh yeah, Jax was definitely banned. Like it's been Jax should have been banned every game, especially after this Door throw.
Like I get the Cassante pick. Like I actually like their 1-2-3, but
you just have 4-5.
Yeah, you lost me on the 4-5. You like you could have picked. Like you could have picked the Rel. Like you could have picked.
No, I think Jun on J4 every game was always the correct answer.
No, I'm saying no, Rel support.
Oh, okay, yeah, okay.
Because it was a close to Rel bot lane. Which the Ashe is very good into, but you're just not going to do enough damage in the team fights, and I think that's why BLG lost that game.
You know what actually is the answer is Ashe support. If On played it. Like if they locked in the Ashe support there and then an actual ADC next to it.
Fucking
with your Cassante, Nico, J4 front.
Jinx Ashe bot lane.
Probably not Jinx, but maybe I can't remember. I know the Varus was obviously.
I mean, Jinx has the traps.
What else they matched up?
Like it's where if you're getting dove, like those traps do a lot. Mm-hmm. She's got the Zap, which slows. You got the Ashe slows. Like the Ashe.
Something like that.
The Ashe W is what makes Ashe support baller because you just like they're coming forward. W. Now we can just walk faster than you.
But that was definitely probably what's going to end up being the second best of 5 of the tournament. More than likely. We'll see how the finals can still be good, but more than likely that one's going to be the second best. That was a great series.
It was a good series. BLG learned their lesson, and they picked Tom when there was actually a carry, like a damage dealer top lane and mid lane.
Mm-hmm.
Also, Doran picked Gnar.
Yeah, no,
that was
about that one.
That was horrible. Like they give you go Gnar Vi, leave open Jarvan Orianna.
I got no words, man. I really don't. Like I think GenG, they're probably going to boom this roster. It's going to look completely different next year.
I can't wait till we start inviting some guests on the show. Which is something I've talked to Pope about personally, and this is something I'm telling y'all is what I'm trying to do is at some point bring guests onto the show to talk about League of Legends, just as a game, their experiences, their insights, what their philosophies are, what they think is good, and yada yada yada. And I want to talk to a coach and be like, why is sometimes like a team draft so good and then other times they just get like they're just like they get caught off guard, it feels like, by the first pick, and then they instantly pick their counter right away. And
I think it's probably just knee-jerk reactions from the players. I think players themselves, I bet, will probably still emphasize wanting a good lane setups and such, and not always care about the game states as much.
I'm sorry, if I was GenG's coach and I saw and after that game 5, Doran is never playing Gnar again unless I see that he played 1,000 games in solo queue with it.
I mean, yeah, man, I don't know. It's hard because some of these players, I feel like they've had their identities for years, and it's weird that the coaching staff doesn't seem to understand who they are, because there's nothing wrong with not having a skill as long as you play the game around the fact that you're not going to do that. Like the fact, I understand in a 5-game series you can try draft things out to see how it'll go and you can lose games and it's not a big deal. But was there really ever any point where GenG was in their coaching staff like meetings going, all right, yeah, we're gonna pick you Jax Doran to deny it from Bin, and this will be fine. This won't go terribly wrong at all. You're like, really? You think Doran's gonna be able to play Jackson to Bin? Oh man, I don't know. Like I think Bin knows Jax too well to play Jax into Bin as well. You know?
Yeah, I mean it's like me. I have
Just take it out.
hundreds and hundreds of games on Kai'Sa. It's where if my enemy team picks Kai'Sa, like I know when you're gonna Q, I know where you're gonna W.
Dude,
Like,
if I ever play into a Yorick, I dismantle that dude. Like I've been playing next to Yorick forever. I know exactly everything Chewie complains about. I just dismantle you. I will be the jungler that runs into your lane and just kills the maiden and leaves. Yorick players hate that guy. Trust me. They get angry because they just realize, no, wait, no, that's illegal. You're not even ganking me. You're just killing the maiden. That's no. Play the game.
like I think there's got to be a better top pick, like because like in isolation, the Gnar Rumble lane is
it's a skill matchup.
It's pretty decent. It's a skill matchup. It's pretty even because Gnar's got a bit of range. You get your extra tankiness when you go Mega Gnar. Like you have some, like you get your CC when you do it.
Rumble is just such a volatile champion to play into because his damage is actually just crazy. You know,
and there's
not really
like
gated by mana or any resource.
just if that was a comfort pick for him, going I can just play like I know Gnar is decent, like not the worst into this. I've played Gnar. I know I can play Gnar. Like, bruh.
There's just other things.
Bro, you're fired.
There's just other things. But let's start moving on to our semifinal conversations.
Semifinals.
That was a good series to watch, but ultimately GenG kind of did what they did last year and just didn't quite manage to coalesce into some of their parts for whatever reason.
See, I my favorite series was the JDG KT. Because even though JDG did JDG things, it felt more competitive than the GenG BLG went to 5 games, but the game 4, BLG just lost by literally not drafting enough damage.
Mm-hmm.
Like, otherwise that would have been a 1 game.
I love watching BLG play, honestly. I think they're a team that shows a lot of grit, and that's what I really enjoy about them. They encompass that part of the LC or the LPL's energy really well. Like JDG is almost too perfect to be an LPL team, but BLG feels like an LPL team, and I like that. You know,
They're scrappy.
they are actually all Chinese players, I think. Yeah, they are. That explains it.
So, semifinals matchups. Let's do it in order of when they're happening. Which,
For sure.
Saturday at 1 a.m. Mountain Time, that's midnight Pacific Time. That is 3 a.m. Eastern Time. If you're in the United States, all your time zones are covered except for Central. You're not real.
Not a person.
Weibo Gaming versus Bilibili Gaming.
Yes, sir.
I mean, I got BLG to win.
Yeah.
It's
This one
probably going to be a 3-1 because Bilibili's going to drop a draft like they did against GenG, where they just out draft themselves, and then they get in the game like, oh fuck, we're missing something here.
We didn't play the one thing we had to play perfectly for this to actually work into what they're playing. So now we just auto.
I think the Shy is playing very well, though. I think Weibo as a team is actually playing very well. I think their game against NRG, even though NRG was the weakest out of the 8 teams, and people would put
LNG
going into it, and people would have put Weibo 7th.
Yes, that's true.
I think Weibo's vision and macro was actually very good.
Crisp and Jean are playing together really well to really make this team feel like it has a lot of catalysts, and they at least have playmaking and they're exciting, and that's good to see. Like you're never gonna see a shy team be boring, and I'm glad they live up to it. I don't really think they can beat BLG. You know, I'm statistically we've seen enough evidence to believe that's probably not going to happen. But hopefully they take a game and get at least a 4-game series. I can see that happening, but I think this is going to be pretty BLG favored, understandably.
Yeah, I think as long as BLG
Shy versus Ben, and
doesn't draft himself into a hole, and they play how they did against GenG, then they're going to beat Weibo.
Mm-hmm.
If Weibo are just doing or fucking have the casual rap wife buff, they could rat it out, and if Weibo wins, it's going to be in 5 games.
Yeah, I agree with that. Weibo was the team of ultimate duality in the LPL. They would beat JDG in a best of 3 and then lose to Rare Atom. It's just they have it.
Flip a coin.
Yeah, which you're gonna get. Like every piece of the team is actually not bad. I do think that ultimately Jun is just better than Weiwei, and that's going to
Jun
be
is a madman.
Yeah, but everything else I feel like is actually it is a pretty good matchup. Like Crisp and Lights are not a bad bot lane. Like Elk and On are also really good, and I think they should be considered a little bit better. But like Crisp and Light aren't bad. Xiaohu is Xiaohu, and you have the Shy. Like all these matchups are pretty solid. We should have fun with it at least. It shouldn't be a blowout, I hope.
So I'm going to give you the top 5 KDAs right now at Worlds.
The numbers.
I'm also going to give you the other players. I can give you numbers if you want to.
Give me the numbers and I'll guess the players.
Okay. Oh, so you want the numbers and you'll guess the players?
Yeah.
So someone at the top, someone has a KDA of 10.
Okay. I do. I want to say this is Ruler, but I know it's not. I think this is going to be a jungler, actually, and it's either going to be Contracts or Jun.
It's Carrier.
Fuck. All right, that's fair.
So coming in second at 9.29.
Is it a player I've already guessed?
No.
You can just tell me. I'm going to get these all wrong.
It's Gumayushi.
Okay.
So T1's bot lane of that is KDA. I mean, they did play against fucking LNG, fucking trash can version, but in third is Ruler with 8.78.
Only quarters?
Huh?
Is this all worlds or only quarters?
All worlds.
Okay. 8.78. Nice.
8.78 by Ruler. Light 8.71. Owner 8.1. Missing 7.25.
Okay. Bot lane duos most of the time and a few junglers. Just one jungler?
What'd you say?
Just one jungler? Just owner?
Just owner. Okay. Jun. 5.67.
He ran in. He fountain dived it, man. Why are you doing that to us, Jun?
He does average 1.85 deaths a game.
Respectable.
Showmaker's still up here with a 6.6 and pays with 6.83.
I believe in JDG to ruin Karya and Guma's KDA. Believe in Ruler. Let's get to it. Let's talk about it. JDG T1 unofficial World Finals on Sunday. I think ultimately that's the bread and butter. We're already an hour in. This should be good.
So man, I like T1 as good as T1 looked, LNG was that bad.
Yeah.
So it's so hard to judge where T1 is at currently, just because it was just thrown. The match was just thrown.
I think the T1 has definitely shown the highest level. during
You're
Swiss.
starting to cut out a little bit.
Oh, my bad. I said I think T1 has definitely shown the highest level of any LCK team during Swiss. I think that part is just fair to say.
Oh yeah,
And
definitely.
you know, and at this point, they have beaten two of the top three LPL teams, at least in a best of three if you consider the BLG series. So they've at least been tested. But they still lost to GenG. And who else did they drop a game to?
One moment here.
Did they go out in a 3-1? I thought they made it to the 3-2 series. They did make it to the 2 series. No, they did they? I wanted them to.
Swiss. They lost to GenG.
Yep.
And that was it.
Okay. Pretty funny, actually.
They beat Billy 2-0.
And that's where they advanced.
And LNG beat KT Rolster 2-1. So I don't think Swiss fucking matters anymore.
No, it doesn't. I don't think it ever really does. Until it's your tournament life, I don't really care how the games go. That's how I take it. You can look at them, you can take notes, but I'm never going to be like go to like the first round of Swiss and be like, that game shows how good the team was. Like, no, T1 almost lost to Team Liquid, and now they're about to go up to JDG.
They almost lost to Piosik.
Yeah.
Not Team Liquid.
They did lose to Piosik last year. It happened.
They almost lost to him again. That motherfucker. I'm, as a Team Liquid fan, very disappointed. Please don't lose Piosik. Please, Core JJ, move to coaching staff.
I don't even know what I want TL to do. At this point, just get Dardoch back. Fuck it.
And Summit. Just be a streamer, dude. You got the personality for it.
Learn Portuguese, buddy. You're going to Brazil. Go be a big fish there. Like, you can't even lane. Like, he did not dominate this year like he did when he was on C9. Like, don't even come back to the LCS. You're not at the level. Like, if you're not playing like you did back in that spring split, I don't even care. That's the only Summit I care about. If you're not that player, then just go home or somewhere else. And I'm not sure who's going to hire him. It's going to be rough. But
let me pull up drafts real quick again, because I just want to put these two side by side, the LNG and the T1 and the JDG games, and just.
So what does T1 have to ban from JDG every single game?
Well, you can't give fucking. You have to ban Rakan.
I think you have to ban Rakan too. Yeah. Oh man, unless they bring out the Lissandra support to counter the Rakan, just with the Mickey X tech.
Carry is the man to do it, dude.
I know.
He's a fucking mad scientist.
Yeah, that could be fun. I think this is going to be a great series. I can't wait to see how the draft evolves. You know, they're going to you're going to see Oriana bans. You're going to see like Nico, like the how stuff has been prioritized. You know, that's just going to be the question.
Depends on it would, of course, depend on side selection, because you're gonna have the other team ban, because a lot of teams end up banning Caitlyn against Guma, just to prevent that Kate Lux lane from ever happening.
But we'll ruler.
I don't. It's gonna be a fucking banger. Only thing I know is that if Xayah and Rakan are not both banned by
There's
T1,
gonna have to be an answer for the Rakan, at least, for sure.
like if they don't have like the Lissandra fucking Pantheon.
I don't know if Pantheon support is that level, and right now I'd be interested. I would love to see that pop out of nowhere, though. It'd be interesting. Probably
I'm just trying to think of click stuns.
Yeah, and I think you're gonna see the Xayah leftover point whenever JDG is on red side, especially that they're pivoting power picks from, because they won't ban it. I'm probably not scared of Guma.
Dude, I'm actually loving this world's meta right now because there's a lot you can do.
It's not boring, at least. I think it's been a good event. Like, I'm really happy with the format changes. I'm happy. Honestly,
They're cutting out again.
Oh, wonder what that is. But yeah, I'm happy with the event. I think the event's gone well. The draw has been good. We haven't had bad draws for what could have been. Get to see a bunch of LCK versus LPL matchups. Thank God.
Yeah, and luckily, for the sake of the LCK and for also viewing, because who wants to view fucking LPL all quarters? I know you were like you and fucking Dom are all about it.
I'm here to watch the T1 versus the World too, but like I would have been here for the LPL top 4.
I mean,
it would have been vindicating.
I'm rooting for T1 just to make the tournament more interesting.
I want to see the Golden Road. Like if JDG were in the finals, I'd be more willing to root for T1, but I can't. I can't do it. No, I want to see JDG do it. Before we go to three tournaments, 3 splits, I want to see one team make the perfect year, be the best team ever, and then we can call it a day.
I mean, if anybody's going to do it, it's JDG roster. Definitely. Mm-hmm. This is how you build a fucking super team.
And my concern is if T1 wins Worlds this year, people will try to act like this is the best league roster to ever play, even though they lost like 6 finals in a row before this. And I just do not want to read the drivel. People are all like, well, no, the 2023 T1 roster was the best roster in the world because they beat JDG and considered the best roster ever. So obviously it has to be T1, even though they were complete failures for 5 years. Like, no. No.
Sometimes the pieces come together.
For BLG to win Worlds because T1 knocked out the only team that could always beat them. Yes, you're right. You're right. It's coming.
So I think T1 has the draft creativity. JDG's obviously got the depth. I think
give the resilience.
The depth and the resilience. I mean, but also we did see them play 4 games of Rakan, so let's get this Rakan one trick off of his Rakan.
And watch him school you on everything else. Missing is like Delight and Missing have, in my opinion, looked like the best supports in the world this year. Like Karia's back on his track and can now be allowed to in that conversation again, but before, recently, Delight and Missing were definitely just the best 2 supports in the world, and they were both crazy the entire year. So I'm interested to see what JDG might have up their sleeves. I'm ready for Knight to bust out the all right, this is the finesse pick. I've been saving this for you, Faker.
I mean, we're probably going to see the most creative drafts in this series.
Dude, you didn't watch MSI. All right, your homework is to watch the JDG T1 MSI series that went to 5 games already. Because that was until, I would say, like the BLG GenG one is another great series. That series is the best series that's happened this year so far. That was a banger series. It's definitely worth the watch. You should go check that out. It'd be a good little filler for you.
I'll check it out, and then we'll recap next week with the conclusion of the semifinals. And then the week following will be the finals, which I will be live viewing on my Twitch. I will right after the F1 Las Vegas Grand Prix.
It's also sweet. No, I mean, I imagine our next episode we're gonna gush a little bit. Because I'll be damned if this series isn't fucking amazing. I'm gonna be really upset if LNG was actually just this bad and T1 isn't actually that good and JDG just rolls over them.
Dude,
I'm really
it
upset. I
honestly,
want this to be a
that
banger.
wouldn't fucking surprise me. There like, with how bad LNG played, it is impossible to determine how good T1 actually is. Just because,
Super
like,
smart draft,
I mean,
good
Gala
execution.
was playing
Hard to
his
say.
goddamn fucking hands off.
Dude, I
And
feel so bad for Gala. Even Zika, like Zika had some good. Had some good laning, and then you could just tell he was at the point like, all right, my mid jungle is 0-5. I guess I just need to force this fight, and if I don't win it, we're the game.
yep.
Because he lost that 1v1, and it seemed like he was just under pressure at that point. You know, people are getting nervous. That was what a wild, awful series. Just for LNG to achieve that height in playoffs, just to fall this far, but you know, one LPL team always does. It wasn't Weibo.
It
Amazing.
wasn't Weibo. It was fucking Scout, who was one of my favorite mid laners, man.
I know he's gonna need a redemption arc next year internationally because he's always good domestically, but 2022 and 2023 are not good looks for him. Honestly, I made the joke to you earlier. Like fucking LNG can just leave these dudes in Korea when they go home.
Yeah.
Just leave Tarzan and Scout. They clearly don't want to be in China anymore, so just leave them there and go home.
And you said this is Zika's rookie year?
Yeah.
Good for him. Good for him.
Mm-hmm. No, he's an incredible talent. Really happy to see him progress more. LPL has some crazy young talent that's good to see. And I'm like, Pays is a good
I
young
wonder
Korean
what they
talent
do
opposite,
to grow this talent. Maybe
but-
the Western regions can take a look and perhaps see something that they're doing with this young talent that's being discovered and how to raise them up.
Well, when we do it over here, the talent goes to the doctor for Mal and the entire organization. So
Also, this is just a real quick sidetrack. So the LCF studio and pretty much all the pro players live in LA. The server for Riot Games League of Legends in North America is in Chicago. All right. So one of the complaints that pro players have is playing on high ping.
we're gonna have to get into this one next time, man. This is an age-old one, and we got a bunch of stuff we can draw on to have this conversation.
Why the fuck? Do you know real estate's even cheaper in Chicago than LA? Taxes are lower?
Bro, they could go to fucking like Nebraska, eastern Nebraska, and have like 15 ping probably, and you'd be paying 50 cents a foot, square foot. Not literally, obviously, but
Well, one of these days, whenever I win the lottery, I'm starting my own esports team. Or whenever this fucking podcast takes off and we start getting sponsors.
yeah, it'll be us and Disguised Toast hanging out. That dude seems pretty cool.
I mean,
I'll wear bread on my head. Is that what it takes?
I mean, it's gonna be the name's gonna be Big Damn G Sports.
Yep.
Because we got that BDE.
For sure.
For those of you who don't know, BDE means Big Dick Energy.
I hope everyone knew that though.
I'm just making sure. I also just wanted to say dick. I got an explicit marker on Spotify. I'm gonna fucking use it.
There we go.
So hey, thanks everybody for hanging out, stopping by. Make sure to like, follow, subscribe.
Tune in.
Add us to your Spotify playlist so you can hear it
Search
again.
me on Reddit and back me up against all the red milk.
Follow us on X
And YouTube.
and Twitch. All the things. But this is the Pot of Ages, Season 3, Episode 4, Worlds coverage. We'll be back next week with the World's semifinals results and our analysis of the games.
It's going to be good.